Welcome to Nugget 146 with Steve Groman. And today we will finish up with our electrician, and we will also be probably having a little special nugget on the oil industry, which will include some amazing views. But today this will conclude our two-part series with oil-filled men in southeast New Mexico.
You are with a major corporation. I know just driving around, there are smaller outfits too from time to time in these places. I guess a lot of the smaller ones, are they scaled back? Are they mostly shut down? Or the bigger companies are going to get bigger? How's all that going to work?
A lot of these smaller companies, what they've done is go in after a major has gone in and drilled. A lot of these smaller companies don't drill. They don't have the money to drill.
Oh.
But what they do is, like a company like Chevron or Shell or Exxon, they'll go in and drill. They'll spend millions and millions and millions of dollars drilling, and they'll flow it until, we're done. We're bored with this. Basically, we're going to go there after big production. Because slowly, there's a curve, right? And slowly the production will go down. And when the numbers aren't to their par, they'll sell. And so a smaller company comes in and says, you know what, we have less overhead cost.
Right.
You know, these big companies don't play around. They're the ones that put this automation out there, and
they get it all rolling.
They spend big money. These little companies, they don't worry as much about, because their wells are making less pressure. Basically, let it run. We'll check it every morning. They have we'll go out there, check it every day. And so they operate different. They don't have near the overhead cost. And so they're able to operate those wells at profit. Whereas these big companies, they're not going
to mess with it.
And so that's what happens is these smaller companies go and buy wells from these bigger companies, but their operating cost is less. Now, that being said, that when an administration comes in that is hostile towards the oil field, it makes it very hard because they start writing fines, big, huge fines for any little thing. Like if you get a little bit of oil on the ground, thousands and thousands of dollars, or like permits to operate, just permit to operate. And they make it to where the little guy can't hardly afford to operate anymore. And so really, all this that's going on, it's not the big outfits. They're going to be fine. They got money to ride this through and actually do what they have to do. They have lobbyists and stuff. I mean, they're going to be okay. This country cannot function without oil and gas. And however ignorant the politicians want to sound, they know it too.
Right.
This country cannot run without oil and gas. We're not there yet. What it does do is push the little guy out.
Yeah, so
they can't operate.
Yeah, that's a shame. I guess that therein lies the lack of traffic now on the roadway. Even.
Yes.
I mean, it's not just the big guys aren't necessarily hiring all the guys that are leaving the other ones because they're not.
Exactly.
There's still no work because it is still shut down.
Right.
But the work has ceased or slowed down drastically.
You know what? Poor people don't hire anybody.
Right.
And that's just how the economy runs. And when these smaller outfits, which to somebody seeing how much money these guys make, they would think, man, these guys are rich too. And they do make a good living. These companies, they make some good money. These smaller outfits, they don't make enough to keep the economy rolling in a hard time.
Right.
And so they stop hiring. And so thousands and thousands of people are without work.
How long can the stuff, the pump jacks, any of the pump, even the wiring, the cabling and everything, how long can stuff sit idle, so to speak, and still be able to be fired up again? I mean, can it last 4 years or 8 years, just sit out there in the desert heat and the sand blowing and everything?
There's a lot of maintenance
I would think
that is required.
Right, I would think so.
There's a lot of maintenance to require this, and that's actually what side I'm on. I work on it's called the operations side, and so I do a lot of maintenance when the stuff isn't working, stuff just needs to be replaced. That's the side I'm on.
Right.
There's a lot of upkeep that must go on because something sits idle for too long, especially out here.
Right.
It don't last.
Sand blowing in it and heat beating on it, and
heat. Those compressors just running all the time with all the heat and the vibration going on. There's a lot of maintenance that goes on out here.
Yeah, I would think so.
A lot of upkeep, which again.
So it's tragic not only that it's not pumping now, but it's going to cost when and if it does turn around again. It's big money just to get it going again.
Oh yeah. Well, not only that, but if you leave something not moving any kind of fluid for very long, you watch and it just scales up and gets anything. Downhole, these guys are really struggling because these companies aren't going to lose money. And so they're going through and shutting in these wells. And that there's fluid, there's oil, there's all kinds of chemicals downhole. Well, that stuff solidifies, it scales.
Right.
And so it makes the cost of bringing them back up whenever the government takes its hand off of it and says, okay, have at it. There's a lot of costs.
It's tragic. You don't just turn the switch on and here we go again.
You just don't. I mean, that stuff is just set there.
Right.
And it's not good. They don't. In fact, I've got wells that when they go down, get the call, get somebody out here now because we don't want it to sit for more than a day. Just one day.
Oh, man.
Especially, that thick oil. It'll turn into almost tar down there. Messes up the pumps, and it's not good.
So it's a tragic thing.
Yeah, the oil field is a good thing. It's not. It provides people with a living, with a way to feed their families. It's just good work. I enjoy it. Been in it for 20 years. The media likes to portray it as, the evil oil companies. Well, I tell you what, these oil field companies pour money into the economy.
Right.
They help people. I've been there when, they come in and they give schools thousands of dollars. These local schools, they'll come in and just write $50,000, $60,000 checks and just give them to the schools for the kids. I've watched them spend millions of dollars literally on the local economy to help it out.
You mean they're not the greedy scoundrels we've been led to believe?
Well, they're in it to make money. They are, but I tell you, they do help. They do help, and they're not. They're just people.
Well, $50,000 to a school is a big.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
a big chunk of money. That unexpected. Here it is. It shows up.
Absolutely. The place that I was working, we came in one morning, and the local police ran into a case where a little girl, so a man had died in a car accident, and they had this little boy and little girl were living with him. His kids were living with him. He didn't have anybody else. He was going to come home to him. No one came home to him.
Wow.
And they had lived in that house for quite a while by themselves. The little girl it was a really sad story. Just one of those grab your heart kind of deal. The company that I'm with, man, I tell you, we got them a place. I mean, it really grabbed the heart of the company I work with. I'll never forget that. And they really stepped in and changed those kids' lives.
That's neat.
Not all corporations are evil. Corporations are people.
Sure.
That's all it is.
That's all. And those people, let's see, they drive cars and they cook food and they heat their house and all this stuff. They need new tires. And it's amazing the bad rap will say that the oil gas industry has been given, but it just provides everything from mobility and cooking and eating and surviving.
Plastics.
That we need.
Plastics, tires. And you can go down the list. You're not going to have. This country is nowhere near.
Correct.
Have the ability to say no more oil and gas.
Right.
That's hundreds of years in the future. May come someday, but it ain't. But it ain't that.
Now. It's not going to be tomorrow.
No.
Well, listen, I really enjoyed this. It was good. It's really interesting to get to know what people do, and especially when it is a crucial major industry that keeps this country rolling. And so I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
We'll see you again.
All right, man.
Well, we really appreciate your taking time to explain to us your job and give us a great insight into the oil industry. Both you and Nathan have done, I believe, a fabulous job of helping others to understand the situation from an on-the-ground perspective, and we thank you for that. We hope you have enjoyed these oil field interview nuggets. Thank you.